Hello my scholars, welcome to my school channel, and in this video channel we'll be discussing informal letter. Informal letter is a type of letter writing, so we'll be looking at the meaning of informal letter. We'll be taking a look at the key features of informal letter, and lastly we'll be taking a look at an example of it. So please stay with us, don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to my school channel. Do not forget that today's topic is informal letter. Like I said, informal letter is a type of letter writing. So we have two major types of letter writing, and they are informal letter and formal letter. So letter writing is simply writing a message to someone in a written form. Okay, writing a letter to someone in a written form, that is what it means. But today we'll be going in depth into informal letter writing. So before we jump right into the topic, let's take a look at what we'll be doing so far. What is an informal letter? So we'll learn the meaning of informal letter, we'll learn the key features, and by exploring the key features, we'll take a look at a sample of it. Okay, step by step, we'll take a look at a sample of it. And then this is our case study for today's topic. You are in your final year in secondary school, write a letter to your uncle, who is an influential person in society, telling him what you intend to do next and asking for his assistance. Okay, so we are going to be using this question. Now let's jump right into the topic at hand, which is informal letter. Starting with the first objective, what is informal letter? Okay, so the first definition here is these are personal letters that are written to relatives, friends, and people we are familiar with. Okay, so these are written to relatives, they are written to families, they are written to people that you have very close relationship with or you're familiar with. So you understand that the language of informal letter is not official. Okay, it's not official, it's very casual. So you are able to express yourself, and we're able to feel that, okay, this person you're writing to is very close to you. Okay, so you have your father, your mother, your sister, your cousin, your uncle, your aunts, your classmates, okay, your neighbors. These are people you write informal letters to. Okay, so next, it is used to discuss issues and matters that are personal. Okay, because the relationship is close, because the language is casual, it is unofficial, you talk about personal issues. Okay, so that's that about informal letter. Now that we know what informal letter is all about, let's go straight into the key features. What are the key features of informal letter? Let's take a look. Now we have the address of the writer. So when you're writing, you should have the address of the writer. Then you have the date. Then next you have the opening salutation. And next you have the body of the letter, that is the message itself. Then next you have the closing salutation. And lastly you have the writer's name. So all of these have to be in your letter, in your informal letter when writing. Now let's take a look at each of these, starting with the address of the writer. Okay, so this is written at the top right hand corner of your paper. So you have your sheet is written at the top right hand side of your paper. Okay, so the next is the address could be written in block or slanted form. We'll be taking a look at that as we progress. The writer's country of residence need only to be included if the letter's destination is not within the same country. Okay, so when you are writing to a relative or a family or friend that's not in Nigeria, that is the only time you have to include the receiver's address. But if your relative is in the same country with you, you have to write only your address. But in most cases, it is not always regarded, it's always imagined or insinuated that your family, your friends are together with you in the same country. So we'll be skipping this out. So lastly, the address should be well punctuated. Okay, so we'll take a look at that as we look at this example. Please do not forget the question in our case study, and that's what we'll be dwelling on. So the address, we talked about the slanted form and the block form. So the slanted form looks like this, starting with the house number, 10, okay, 9, 15, okay. So whatever applies to you, okay. So we have the name of the streets next. So after the name, the number of the house, you have to use a comma, okay. And then you have the name of the streets. Please take note that I'm using writing it with capital letter or uppercase, okay. Then we have an estate. If it's applicable to you, maybe your house is inside an estate, you need to write your estates too, okay. And then you have the name of the local government, and then the city, Lagos City. If it's Abuja, you write Abuja. If it's Port Harcourt, you write Port Harcourt. Okay. So you can see the reason why this is called slanted, because it is actually slanted. Okay. So this is the slanted form. Please take note of the punctuation and take note of the capital letters or the uppercase. Okay. So let's take a look at the block form of an address. So this is the block form. You have the number, you have the street, you have the estate's name, and then the local government, and lastly we have the city. And as you can see, it has a straight organized look. Okay, so this is much more preferable to me. I like seeing the block form, but whichever is actually applicable, whichever you like or desire, you can use, but this is much more suitable to me. Okay, so let's take a look at the next key feature, which is date. Now the date appears immediately after the writer's address. It is located on the right hand side, also the right hand corner of your paper or your sheet. And then use the appropriate format. We'll learn about the format very soon. Do not abbreviate the month. Okay, so you don't need to abbreviate the month. Now let's take a look at an example of the format and everything else we need to take note of. So the British format is day, month, followed by year, the year. So for every other format, you could have you have the month first, like the Americans, you have the month first, then the day, and then the year. But for British, we speak British English as in Nigeria, so we have to follow this format, which is the day first, the month, and lastly the year. So you can see this is the three ways you can write it that is widely acceptable. Okay, so we have the day, 10th, the month, September, and the year. So you can see where my comma is, and you can see where the full stop is. Okay, so be careful of the T and H. The T and H written like this shows that it is a date, but when we have the 10 and CH on top of it, that's a position. So be careful, don't use a position where you ought to use the date format. So this is the date format, and it should look like this. Okay, so we have this is another way you can write it. If you don't want to put the TH, is fine. So you have 10 September, 2022, and lastly you can also write it like this. You have 10 slant 09, which is September slant, then you have 2022. Okay, so you can use this slash, or you could write it like this or like this, so whichever is actually applicable. But I like the first one, and let's take a look at the address and the date all together. Okay, so these are the things you need to avoid. You need to avoid writing your date like this, using the hyphen and using the colon. So it is not acceptable. Okay, it's not like writing like this is wrong, but it's not appropriate for a letter or writing an informal letter. So let's take a look at the address and the date together. Now this is what it looks like. So I've selected what I really like. So this is the block form and the date. Okay, so this is how it should look like. It looks very neat, very organized, and you're good to go with this. Okay, so let's take a look at the next key feature. The opening salutation. Now, what is the opening salutation? This refers to the greeting that usually comes before the body of the letter. Then several words can be used to salute or greet a person one is writing to. Okay, so you can use several words, you can use different kind of words depending on the relationship you have with the person. We'll get to that in a bit. Then lastly, a comma always follows the name or the title. So whatever choice of word you choose to use, whatever opening salutation you choose to use, make sure there's a comma after it. Now, that will be all for now, but I've prepared a longer version of this video. All you need to do is you click on the link in the description below. It takes you to the My Skill website. There you have to subscribe. Please go ahead and subscribe so you can enjoy the rest of today's objective. I'll see you in a bit. Thank you for staying with us. Do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, do tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos.